Get to it, though. We got a lot to talk about. My top 10 favorite parts of a mall or aspects of a mall. Start off my number 10. I hated clothes shopping under any circumstance except one, and that was back to school shopping. All right, back to school shopping was always a good time, and especially for clothes. And we're going to talk about that next week for our video because we're going to be doing a back to school list, and but that's a big part of it, like that back to school shopping. All right, school is 2 weeks away. Let us go to a mall, and we're going to shop, and we're going to get all of our clothes shopping done today. I used to love that aspect of it. Probably shouldn't have spoiled that for next week, but here we are. Anyways, other than that, like there wasn't really a lot of clothes stores that I like to go to. I had some specific ones. You know, I've talked about Steve & Barry's as the closed down businesses list as a place that I wish would come back. Those very, very inexpensive shirts, hoodies, leather jackets, miss them, crave them. They were wonderful. You know, these college T-shirts and so much more. Steve & Barry's was great. As I started to get a little bit older and realized that wearing graphic T-shirts all the time was not cool, Sears, Bon-Ton, JCPenney were places that I frequented. All right, I love to go shopping at some of those places, and Hollister was a big one that I really enjoyed. Hollister was probably the first like specific name brand clothing store that I ever shopped at, and I may not look like I right now like I'm someone that should have been shopping at Hollister and their Laguna Beach kind of California surfer vibe, but I loved me some Hollister stuff. That store was cool. You walk in, it smells wonderful. You got the video, the alleged live stream of Laguna Beach playing there. It's got that nice dark ambience, and go and buy some cool T-shirts. I had a lot of sweet Hollister T-shirts. I did. Old Navy was another one too. They had a lot of cheap things like hoodies and sweatshirts and sweatpants, shorts, all that jazz. Old Navy was another one that I found some enjoyment in a little bit later on. But clothing stores, that was my number 10, and it was always the mall was the best place to do it, basically, because there's so much to choose from. I even probably should have listed, like, I think it was like the Deb or something like that, Deb Shop. There was a couple of places like that, but I think it was Deb. Maybe not. Scratch that. All right, moving on to my number 9. I did a lot more looking at a lot of these places than I did actual purchasing, but this is always a nice aspect. You go to a mall, you want to check out some cool things. You go to the unique gifts shops, and what I'm referring to here. All right, so Spencer's had a lot of. I mean, I could add that to clothing. They had a lot of cool T-shirts. Hot Topic had a lot of cool T-shirts as well. You know, you find some nice graphic tees at those places, as well as some other stuff. All right, my glass cup collection that I like to refer to a lot, it came from Spencer's. I don't know where they're at. But I spent a lot of time finding unique gifts there. Shot glasses, full beer glasses, and a whole host of other stuff. Things Remembered. I used to love to go and buy stuff from Things Remembered. Very, very good, meaningful gifts. And there was a lot of cool things, whether it's snow globes, whether it's like pens, plaques, so many other things. Brookside has always had a lot of cool things too. I knew they used to advertise like the massage chairs right out there. I hope people remember this one. because I only seen it at one location in my lifetime, but there might have been a chain. New Age Creations. I'm pretty sure that's what it was called. I hope I got that right. New Age Creations. So this place, you walked in, it had a specific smell, a lot of incense stuff, but there was a lot of cool, like, wizard stuff. It was like a lot of these smoke fountains and water fountains, and some of them even had like weapons, like swords and nunchucks and daggers and all sorts of things. I don't remember when the New Age Creations store, again, I think that's what it was called, but I don't remember when it disappeared, but it was only located at the Boulevard Mall from what I remember. And you just go in there and look, and there's stuff I just could not afford or interested in. There was not a sliver of 10-year-old Matt that wanted a smoky fountain thing with a bunch of wizards and warlocks on it. But it was cool to look at. So that's my number 9, the unique gift shops. Number 8, I'm going to go with sporting goods, sports apparel, things like that. There's quite a bit of those. Lux or Laux, however you want to call it. That's one that you don't really see all that much. I used to go there for baseball cleats, baseball equipment, football equipment. Used to get like sporty socks and stuff like that. Used to get that from Lux. Dick's Sporting Goods, I worked there. I don't really want to talk about it that much, but there was some cool things that happened there. And then there's the regular the name brand stuff like Reebok, Nike, places like that. Finish Line. Got to give a shout out to that. One of my favorite parts of school shopping every single year was I'd get to buy 1 or 2 jerseys. That Peyton Manning jersey that I wore several times. I'm pretty sure it was at a Finish Line that I bought it in 2001. Yeah, that would have been 2001. But I bought that alongside a Chargers LaDainian Tomlinson one because I loved the powder blue jersey so much. I just thought LDT or LT was just that damn good. So places like that where you can buy jerseys. Like I used to love going into these places that sold jerseys and just looking through them. And at the time, I didn't know who all the players were, but it was just neat to see other style jerseys. And for me, being a Colts fan in Bills land, seeing Colts jerseys anywhere it was exciting. The last one I'll mention is Lids, because that's probably my favorite place to get hats at. And there's a couple like smaller, like mom and pop owned sporting goods stores too that I've come across. But Lids always has a really good selection of hats and jerseys. I think a couple years ago, I was at one. Actually, I was at one in Indianapolis, and they had the Waterboy jersey, Bobby Boucher, and a couple other really just fun themed ones. But yeah, sporting goods stores, sports apparel. I didn't have a lot of money on me, regardless, but it was always just neat to look at. Jerseys have always been a fun thing for me to have. I used to have a big jersey wall at my old studio where I had about 60 jerseys. And like it's nice that I have them, but they're just sitting in totes right now in a storage unit. But yeah, that's sporting goods, sports apparel, all that stuff. That's my number 8. Number 7 is specifically video game stores, places that sold video games located within malls. So I'm talking about your GameStops, which I always really, really enjoy to go visit a GameStop at a mall specifically. I've been to a few like separate, like it's its own separate building, but it was always like this bonus. I don't know. It was always like an added bonus when you found it inside of a mall. It just felt more special. I don't know how to describe it. So GameStop, EB Games, which I had no idea stand for Electronic Boutique or Electric Boutique. I think it's Electronics Boutique. Games, but that was a popular one before GameStop really took off and took over everything. Game Craze was a popular one here in the Western New York and Rochester. Again, Rochester is kind of technically Western New York, but But Game Craze was a great one. I spent a lot of money that I shouldn't have been spending on video games when I lived in Rochester at a Game Craze. Oogie Games, which is another one that's slowly going away around here. And they had a lot of those featured inside malls, too. I'd spent a lot of money there. There was one called Phoenix Games inside the Summit Park Mall that I distinctly remember I have two memories around it. Firstly, I discovered and then bought Mortal Kombat Trilogy from this place because I thought it was the cool. I had no idea it existed, and I bought it, and I love that game ever since. And two, my dad took me there with some Christmas money, and I bought Siphon Filter for the PS1. And I remember driving home in the car, and I finally opened up the game, the box it was in, and the disc was not inside. And my dad's like, "Do you want to turn around?" I go, "No, just no. Let's just go home." I wonder if he remembers that. Cool spot. Cool. I mean, for good and bad memories, but video game spots have always been. I've been super intimate with them. I've always liked popping in and seeing what they have to offer. So that's my number 7. Number 6, bookstores. There's only 3 or 4 that I've ever really gone to. You have, I've been to a few used bookstores. In fact, at the Boulevard Mall, there was a spot that took over the former Hollister store and was a used bookstore. Wall-to-wall books of all sorts of themes, genres. I could not believe there was that many books there. A lot of good, finding that was always cool. Walden Books was the big one for me growing up. Walden Books was a special trip. Anytime I went out to the Galleria Mall specifically, which had a Walden Books, I'd get a new book. Either my parents or my an uncle, whoever was driving me, would get me a book, and it was cool. I always loved to go there and pick up a Star Wars book. That's literally my love of Star Wars and Star Wars books came from buying novels of Star Wars books at Walden Books. I'm saying books a lot. Barnes & Noble is the other one, too. A lot of these are attached to malls. There's one here in Western New York that isn't. But when I used to work at Dick's Sporting Goods in Rochester at the Grease Ridge Mall, across the hall was a Barnes & Noble store. And I used to spend my time over there, my breaks, and go scope out books and magazines. So the bookstores, my number 6. Number 5, I'm going to put the kiosks. And there's one specifically that I want to spotlight here. And it's one that I have a very fond memory about. It is Auntie Anne's Pretzels. There's other ones, too. I used to scope out the cell phone case ones that are at every mall. Hickory Farms, when it showed up for the holidays, you get the free mints, the mint chip things. Mrs. Fields is always a good time. I love the cookie cakes, but Auntie Anne's is the one that my heart longs for. It is I've seen Auntie Anne's stores that are not inside malls, and I just it's just not the same. It's just not the same. Auntie Anne's pretzels are only significant inside malls. It's to me eating the snack combos. Combos to me only taste good on road trips. Auntie Anne's only taste good inside malls. But back in the day, in the Summit Park Mall days, when you walked into the main doors, there was the food court. And then if you went up and to the left just a little bit, there was an Auntie Anne's pretzel stand. And what we would do at summer times, my mom, my sister, my brother, he was just a little baby at that time, my Aunt Lisa, and my cousins Nico and Teresa, we would go there. They would take us there. We'd meet up. We'd do a couple laps around the mall, and we got rewarded for behaving nicely with Auntie Anne's pretzels. And my favorite was always the glaze and raisin. I loved how warm it was. I loved the sugar glaze on it. Great pretzel, but I've enjoyed the little the mini hot dog pretzel, wrapped in pretzels and all that stuff. The pizza pretzels. Auntie Anne's is special. It's A lot of good memories from that. And eventually, like, it closed down at that Summit Park Mall, and it became like their like information booth, which was super disappointing. But Auntie Anne's, and most importantly, Auntie Anne's, but kiosks and certain kiosks in general. I always love to go see those. That's my number 5. Number 4, I'm going to put the resale stores. Now, this encompasses a lot of different things: clothing, electronics, video games, toys. These stores, like, I discovered these stores at the Eastern Hills Mall, and there's 3 to be specific. What's in Your Attic, which was the first one I ever discovered. Rising Sun, which was like across the hallway from What's in Your Attic, and the great one that is Niagara Emporium. And what these were you come into these places as somebody who has cool merchandise. You rent out space and these glass display cases, and you put your stuff in, and people buy it, and there's like a code attached to the things. And my first time in Niagara Emporium was like, I was blown away. I used to make special trips out to the Eastern Hills Mall, which was about a half-hour ride for me, and just go look around and take my time and buy something. All right, I bought toys that I haven't had in forever. I bought movie posters. I bought autographed sports memorabilia. Bought video games. Like, I loved taking people to the Niagara Emporium and showing them how cool this place was. But it's just neat to see a lot of these things, a lot of these items that you may not have known existed, or just you forgot existed. I bought some cool historical items. My brother-in-law, I bought a Navy medal for, because he's a big fan of Navy. He has some kind of family connection. Forgive my ignorance, but he has some family connection to the Navy. And so I bought him like an old World War II medal, Navy medal, and gifted it to him for Christmas. And what he said, he really loved it, so that's always good. But it's just so much to look at. That's part of the charm, is that if I can spend a lot of time looking through the shelves of your resale store, then I'm gonna love it and worship it. Niagara Emporium has since moved to the Fashion Outlet Mall. It's a lot smaller. There's a lot more. It makes it like hard to kind of focus and zero in on stuff, but there's still a lot to look at. It's pretty cool. And like, they got old like American Revolution swords, and there's all sorts of stuff there. It's amazing. So that's my number 4, is the resale stores. My number 3, it's video games, but it's more specifically the arcades. Yeah, I like going to game stores. There's a lot of places that sell video games, but the arcade was special, especially the one that I had at the Summit Park Mall, which was Aladdin's Castle. You're walking by from the outside. It's dark inside. There's glowing screens, and there's a cool, like, neon rug, like a weird rug, and there's all these neon lights, black lights, and it was a very attractive place to kind of go into. And I spent a lot of time in Aladdin's Castle. You know, my dad would take us there, and here's a couple bucks. Let's go play whatever. Go play bubble hockey, or we got to play Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter or some other arcade game, and NFL Blitz, 1945, like those kind of games. Like, it's just a good era to be like a game fan. It's just special to be out and about in a community where there's video games afoot, just a video games afoot. And back then too, it was cheaper. Pop in a quarter or two and you're good to go. I don't know. I miss the aura of that. Now, like, Walden Galleria Mall has a Dave & Buster's. That's pretty cool, but it's too, like, commercialized. It's too, I don't know. It just doesn't feel gritty. It doesn't feel gritty. I like comic book shops. Like, I like a nice dingy hole in the wall kind of comic book shop. I'll take that over something that's polished and refined. And I think that's what's missing with a lot of arcades today, is that they're just too clean. I don't know. That's just me. That's my number 3, arcades. Number 2, I'm going to put the food court. I have a lot of special memories in food courts, not just for the food, but I used to love going to food courts during the holidays. All right. One of my central themes or central core memories of my childhood is my parents taking us to go see the Easter Bunny or going to see Santa Claus at the time. And more often than not, the food court was where they were stationed. But also just again, sitting in this hub of people eating food and just being with your family or friends, it was just special. And there's a lot of good places, like pizza spots. I love a good pizza spot. Leon's was a local delicacy inside the Summit Park Mall. It's very localized. They have their own building now. I thought it went away forever with the Summit Park Mall, but they have their own building. But La Rosa Pizza, Sbarro, that might be how you pronounce it, had some great pizza slices and some fantastic calzones. Whenever I come across it, I get it. Panda Express, just like Auntie Anne's. I've only seen Panda Express not inside a mall one time, and that was just outside of Canton, Ohio. I went for the Pro Football Hall of Fame Museum, and there was a Panda Express across the street in its own building, and I was blown away. But Panda Express was awesome. Love a good Chinese restaurant in the middle of a mall. Love it. And then various fast foods like Subway, the Boulevard Mall food court, they had McDonald's and Taco Bell, and above these locations had this cool I don't even know what they were, but they were these gigantic tacos and burritos, and they just had them on display. It was just visually, aesthetically pleasing to go and check out these places. So the food court, I mean, again, after a long day of shopping, you just go in there and hang out and sit down and have a meal with friends or family. It was special. I remember going there. I was in middle school, and my dad brought me and my brother and sister there. And we had a day off, and we just did a special trip out at the Boulevard Mall, and we got Taco Bell kids meals. I just remember just sitting there. I was on the cusp. I was oh man, remember that old McDonald's commercial where the kid is I'm just a hair too old to have a kid's meal, but I want to be an adult. I had that moment with a Taco Bell kids meal. I don't know why this stands out so much to me. It is super weird and slightly annoying that I had this emotional attachment to eating a kid's meal, but these are just core memories that I have. I remember so much, for better or for worse. And yeah, so that's my number 2, the food court. My number 1 are the toy stores. Going to the toy stores was the best. Every great toy store that I recall was attached to a mall in one way or another. So the classic one on the interior mall spots was always KB Toys. Toys R Us, it was not, but regardless, it was special. You always had I always call it the attract mode, but they had bins that are sitting outside the outside of the storefront. And I remember the KB Toys specifically had those motion toys, the little ferret with the ball on the end of it, or those dogs that move and they bark at you, these little toy dogs, or amongst other things. But they move around and entice you, and you go and look at it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, okay, I guess I'll go look inside KB Toys. A lot of that. A lot of cool stuff with that. Toys R Us, which was attached to a mall. I've seen them inside the mall specifically, but the one that I loved was basically just a hair outside, but still part of the mall complex. And I love Toys R Us. I've talked about it many a time. FYE had cool toys. Eventually, Funko Pops. I know I bought a lot of Funko Pops from Spencer's. ThinkGeek was a really cool one that came and went really quickly, but it was attached to the GameStop. I bought the Infinity Gauntlet there. I bought a Thor's Hammer toolbox set from that place. And then the Disney store. I miss the old Disney store. I do. You walk in, it's got that purple like lighting, that purplish kind of lighting, and then when you look inside the store, there was the screen in the back, and there was like it was surrounded by like a U-shaped like shelving unit of stuffed like Disney stuffed animals. Oh, I used to love that store. Boulevard Mall had one that I used to go and check out. And I was surprised when I went to go see Destiny USA before it really became Destiny USA in my wrestling days. This was like 2012. I found a Disney store that looked just like that at the Syracuse Mall. But then they came out with the new Disney stores, and they had one at the Fashion Outlet Mall. And it's just, the ambiance is everything. That setting, that lighting, the environment, the way it looked, it was everything, and didn't quite capture that. But there it is, everybody. The parts of a mall, the aspects of a mall that I missed so much.